Radiant team ban. Radiant team ban. DC's turn to pick.
Shadow Demon.
Radiant team pick.
Slans the sack.
DC's turn to pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Luna.
Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. DC's turn to ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Ah, come on.
DC's turn to ban. Radiant team pick.
War Chief.
DC's turn to pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
10.
Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Witch Doctor.
DC's turn to pick. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Puck!
Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. DC's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Yeah.
DC's turn to pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Clockwork!
Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Tinker!
Potential against Tinker, Clockwork as well, so it's kind of scary for him to just be playing in the tree line. They get any vision on him, and he's probably going to get killed off. I mean, you got even the Lucent Beam as a long-range stun if you need it. So there's a lot of ways that they can control the Freedom Clockwork, but it is also something that not only Tomato is comfortable with, but I think Freedom as a whole is really good at playing around. They actually used to play Tinker a lot with they've had an assortment of players go through their rosters, and they used to do like the Tinker Kunkka strats. They used to do all these high variance things where they played and built their lineup around making sure that this Tinker came online in a big way.
I want to say Flea was on that team.
Yeah, at the
and
time
he played
yeah.
Tinker for them during their Tinker run.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, you're right. It is something definitely Freedom have played with before. This isn't going to be something new and fresh for them. Game, though, is feeling very fresh here as we get underway. It's our very first game, very first match of day number 4 of American Qualifier action here for the DAC. We have the lower bracket matchup, if you will, between Group A, Freedom, and obviously taken down in a tough matchup against Complexity, who eventually went on to also 2-0 Wanted and find themselves securing into the playoffs, while DC ran into Wanted in that first round and were taken down after a 3-game stretch. Obviously, the loser of this series will pretty much be out of contention for DAC. DC heavy favorites. We'll see what Freedom can do to maybe pull out an upset. They smoke and they run in. Good luck, have fun, as they already have an idea that Resolution is just on the other side of these trees. They go for the stun, but it's not going to find its mark. Resolution shakes that one off and quickly realizes what's happening.
Very nice nook to hide in there that keeps them safe and sound. The Shadow Demon was almost close enough. The disruption might be able to disrupt that anyways, but nice. A little bit of enjoyable back and forth. Just for a quick stats tip here, just looked back at Misery's Chen picks, and he's actually only picked it twice since TI. Once in Star Ladder, once in Captain's Draft, and now featuring it here. And I gotta say, he was once considered to be among like the top 5 Chens in the world easily. His micromanagement skills are absolutely insane, and while you could consider it maybe a little out of practice, I think they have a great lineup to set it up. I mean, you can roam so well with early smokes with the help of like a Shadow Demon. I actually consider Shadow Demon one of the best heroes to set up a Chen in early ganks. You disrupt, and no matter what Chen creep you have, you're going to be able to land your ability, whether it's a Hellbear Clap, Centaur Hoof Stomp, so on and so forth. So I think that's going to be pretty key, is how many ganks he's able to get off in that off lane, as well as potentially some rotations on Tinker in the mid.
Yeah, it's looking pretty comfortable here for DC. It's not just any Shadow Demon, also to help it up, it's a Saksa Shadow Demon. It's his top pickup, I believe, this patch, and something he's definitely seen huge success with. And, you know, Freedom, what looks like it'll be rolling with an aggro setup to go into Resolution's lane here. How do you think this potential try on tri lane could go? I mean, if you do have Misery kind of floating around that top lane a bit.
I don't think that they want to do that, because Moon Meander would just have a field day with a 1v1 versus the Sven. Like, Sven obviously has a lot of base armor, can survive pretty well against Clockwork's physical attacks, but then Clockwork gets that battery assault maybe level 2 or level 3, and then the Sven just really can't compete directly with him and has to kind of pull back off the lane. So I feel like they have to either do 2-1-2 or just have the Centaur solo. Yeah, because otherwise it gets awkward. We're actually going to see Mike right now, starting off bottom against Moon Meander, has a lot more HP to work with comparatively, so he should be all right for this stage, especially if he's looking towards Shrinkle Boots. But yeah, that try is going to be pretty interesting. If the Chen gets good creeps, he should be able to get himself involved in the lane pretty well, and it should favor DC, but there's a lot of RNG involved in that.
Jubei will be blocking out the pole camp here. Saksa is going to see it's blocked. He will see now that Jubei comes around the corner, so we'll probably get an idea that it's not a ward, it's actually Jubei himself causing the plug up right there, and he'll just do his best to harass him a bit. We'll come back to touch base in the very aggressive lane. Mid lane, Puck versus Tinker. Have not seen this matchup for quite a while. Tomato, and had the luxury of being able to pick his mid lane matchup into the Puck. Top lane, the stun connection on for Resolution, and success so far for Freedom's tri lane as they get a big pick up there, taking down Luna.
I gotta say that's entirely on Saksa. He randomly disrupts the Witch Locker there. I think he was going for a tri block on the trees, where you get like the 2 illusions of the tree pinning a hero in. But because that's such a long cooldown at level 1, 27 seconds, he doesn't have it available for Rezo, and so Rezo, his only option would be to farm under the tower.
Well, they're going for that setup you were mentioning before to help out with Misery. Jubei trying to walk away. The tornadoes are coming, and it's going to be doing enough damage. Misery will be able to fire back. Bit of redemption there in the top lane.
Yeah, and they need those kills back the other way, because Team Freedom do run aggro tries pretty frequently. They are very often get involved in the off lane and try to suppress the enemy cores. So in this position, you kind of have to find tit for tat, and you have to find your kills back the other way.
While they separate that bit of aggression here, we try to touch base on what's happening across the map here. Mike inching ahead, thanks to those cogs a bit in the CS game 8-0. To Moon's 4 and 5, who's favoring more in the denies. Weehaw also matched up on top here, 8 and 4 to Tinker's 6 and 3. But as the levels come online, who do you begin to favor between the Tinker and Puck?
That's a tough call. I mean, I think Puck has more rotation potential. Tinker will mostly be static on the lane, but I mean they are just going to be going back at it. The Tinker's going to be able to do a little bit more direct damage. The Puck will probably get more runes, and it'll even itself out pretty well. The big deal is, in my mind, the first TP. When the Puck makes his rotation with Dream Coil, he can set up a couple of kills, and that can give him so much more net worth than Tomato.
Curious to see what lane they'll look to emphasize here. I'd imagine it could be towards Mr. Banana Slam Jamma, who's still hanging side by side with Eagle. Jubei's been kind of keeping himself on the map. We saw earlier him infiltrate and steal DC's bounty rune there, and now takes his business to the bottom lane to help out Mike in pulling the creep wave. DC might get the gist that this has turned into a duo on duo kind of a lane. And we'll see if they look for any future setups with assistance from Misery, who's nearby.
Yeah, he's probably going to just drop the Wild Wing now that he's got some good tornado damage out. He stacks up a camp, he's going to grab up another creep, and he needs to get jungling himself a little bit because he is going to be sitting at level 2 for a very long time if his only resource for farming is sitting up top.
Yeah, so should be able to find his way after taking this and mowing down the camp with the tornado, and Jubei's nowhere around to kind of bug him a bit, so things will be pretty straightforward as far as this lane CS game continues here. With Mike still at the top, Banana's now kind of taking over a bit, still finding himself neck and neck with Resolution. So now that they've separated from being a try-on-try, Jubei's got his impression in the lane, and now they left it on this 2 versus 3, where BSJ is matching up evenly. Is this still good for Freedom?
I would not say so. I mean, we'll see if they can get this kill. They're going to be able to follow it up with the Split Earth nicely. Disruption is not there yet, and it's only going to delay the inevitable as the Edict is already in play.
Yep. He does try to pop the wand, and it might be just enough. Good cancel with the Lucent Beam. Eagle's not going to be able to get the finish in BSJ. He tried to get close enough to maybe help out, but look who showed up to play. It's Misery. BSJ is going to be punished for it, and that may have answered our question, Blaze. As far as how the top lane's going for Freedom, it wasn't as clear cut before, but that will certainly make it much nicer for DC.
That should not have happened that way. There was one auto attack from the kill on Shadow Demon, then no need to dive at all, and it straight up was coming down to the way they managed their auto attacks versus their cast animations. They definitely could have gotten one auto in there. Instead, the last one is canceled out by the Lucent Beam, and that's a wrap for this top lane, man. It's just one of those situations where you make 1 or 2 mistakes and suddenly all odds are against you. What is BSJ going to get out of this lane? I mean, he's done okay in CS up to this point, but you're going to see it drastically tilting the other way, especially with Misery getting more and more involved with a purge creep.
They tried to bring in Jubei to help out and maintain order in this top lane, but they could find themselves in another gank situation. Jubei going to get hit up with a disruption, tries to find his way out. They're going to stun and turn it onto Resolution now, eating a lot of damage. He'll have to back up and out. He does not have a whole lot of mana. He'll pop the salve and turn the corner. Meanwhile, whoa, they put their focus back onto Misery. Again, Deja Vu, are they going to be able to make it away with barely any life? Oh, this time they get the low ground hit. Misery will go down. Freedom will be able to fend off the gank. Probably because they had the luxury of Jubei being at attendance.
That cask did absolute work. Paralyzing Cask is extremely strong against Chen, as it does have that increased duration against neutrals. A 5-second stun duration made both of Chen's neutral creeps completely useless, and then they weren't just able to do anything in that fight. They took a very aggressive approach, but one cask shuts it all down. Along with that, Rezo had no mana to work with, so it really just was very limiting in terms of how they were able to approach that engagement.
Let's quickly reestablish what's been happening on the other side of the Dota map while so much is going down at the top. It's Mike still the big breadwinner of CS, 33-2, but it is kind of a win-win because Moon Meander, who's now level 6 and kind of walking away from the lane here, also shares a lot of farm himself, and they may be looking for a setup now with this hook shot. Hopefully trying to get the target onto Tomato. I'm sure Mike is going to be continuing to relay the information that Moon is missing. And we'll see if they'll get the catch on the Tinker or not.
Well, looks like it should be an easy
go
hook.
for it. He's got it. Good connection from Moon. Can they get the follow-up finish? A deep dive is coming in from Wee. They're going for the burst. There's Mike's ulti. Tomato's not going to be able to make it away. Can they get response kills? Yes, they can. Jubei, beautiful setup with a coconut. The double stun is there, but do they have enough firepower? They're going to make their decision to move in for Weehaw. They will get that kill. It will be a mid laner apiece.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that we took so long to pop the invis. I guess he forgot about the edict factor, but yeah, he definitely could have just popped that as soon as he comes out of the stun and probably survived since they did not have detection on them. But all in all, 4-3 is your kill score here. Both mids going down with a puck getting a bit of an advantage over the Tinker directly because he was the one to see the kill happen.
Mike went straight hood this game with all that farm. He just wanted to, you know, he's a tonk now. I can't wait to see how durable he's going to be as they try to make an approach to the top lane. Now they blast apart BSJ. Now trying to feel confident here. Resolution looks to backpedal, but now they run into the rest of Freedom here, and they can't seem to get a hold of Saksa, who's just juking him between the trees. Eventually they'll get a hold of him, stun him down, slash him apart. With a few right clicks, he'll eventually get dropped. Resolution now just around the corner. Looks to flee.
Oh, gets him!
Gets a good connection with the Split Earth. As long as the cast is, he's able to make it connect, but it doesn't seem like they're gonna have anything else. Can he shoot for another one?
is under
Oh no, it's going to get a bit awkward. TPs are coming. It's going to be Saksa back from the dead. Digs out the disruption. Tomato shows up to play, however, and gets off the rocket, the laser, the stun. He'll be put back 6 feet under once again. Eagle may lose his life though. Woo! Rounding the corner, looking to avoid these illusions. Can he make it away? He's fine.
Oh, very close call. Yeah, bottle sip actually saves him in that situation, and it's just one of those spots where you're diving under a tower. You have to kind of just make a key decision here. Saksa TP's in, and they end up picking him up without losing a neutral hero.
Drops the coil, doesn't get it. Eagle is still dancing around. Eventually we'll get caught from Moon Meander on that one, but we will lose his own life trying to punish the support. And now BSJ and Mike just go into Moon Meander, who locked himself in a bit of a battle trap here. He's trying to walk up and weasel his way out. BSJ's waiting for him with a Storm Hammer. And bumps him back with the coil. Bumps both of them back with the coil. Hits him with a rocket. This man does not have a TP.
But he can keep him here for a long time. If they can just get another TP up here to help him out.
Eventually, they'll stun him. Come on, BSJ, hit him. There we go.
Oh, Mike in the tower.
Finally bring him down. Mike, luckily not hit with the aggro. He actually pops the pipe. Will avoid the damage. He's running. Oh, they'll finally get him. Weehaw would be able to get the snipe on that one. And a double kill takedown of Eagle. Does it make it really worth it at the end of the day? It's just all of a hot mess.
That's such a clown fest. They get a disruption down bottom. They're going to be able to follow that up. Not with the Hellbear Clap just yet, though. And Jubei's just pinned in. They're just going to be able to right-click him down. But in the meantime, Misery's taking a lot of damage. And Jubei just through it all.
Oh, the Deathborn actually goes for the illusion. I don't know if he could have quickly clicked it and tried to snipe it onto Misery.
I don't think so. It was too far off, but he was just kind of in panic mode at that point. Like, there's so much on top of him. But they could have just, gone for the Hellbear Clap and finished him off that way. They thought they had the easy pincer kill, essentially, with the illusions pinning him to the tree line. But just do the damage, get the kill, and get out, because there's always going to be TPs to that tier 2.
What a ridiculous game already.
It's really insane.
It's 8-8. Not that far off. Here they go. Smoke, stampede, and run, and right on through resolution. They're going to bring him down.
Oh,
Saksa doesn't even want to get close, but somehow a coconut will fly out there. Meanwhile, flying around, Moon Meander goes for the hookshot mid lane, will not find it onto Tomato. Looks like Tinker will avoid the trouble here. He is working his way towards getting those ruby red shoes. Needs about 800 more gold. And you could just feel the anticipation for it, and DC would love to be able to kind of bring him back down another peg.
Man, this is just a full clown fest at this point. Like, both teams are in a position where they just don't want to back down from fights, where they just want to keep fighting and want to keep initiating. They see an opportunity, they go for it, and it's cost quite a bit. Like, a lot of these exchanges are unfavorable for the initiators, and you have to wonder if any of these moves really are what they should be seeking after, or maybe they should just play it a little bit safer and farm. But you see, Moon Meander does not have that in mind right now.
Moon Meander is just like, was trying to chase down Jubei. He's like, I just can't let the support walk away from me. But, you know, he ends up going through the shrine and they just TP in. But look at that, Eagle ends up losing his own life, making the move in for Moon Meander. They'll eventually be able to bring him down. Weehaw will step away from any further trouble, but the clouding is kind of still there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the life of a Leshrac, man. When you have a Clockwork on top of you, you don't have the Force, there's almost nothing you can do. He puts out some decent damage with the Pulse Nova, and they trade it favorably, but Moon still gets kind of what he was looking for there.
DC seemed to ultimately be able to take down this top tier 1.
Oh, going for Tomato 2. I'm not sure what he was doing there. He already dropped his March, so it's really not much more for him, but at least they have the Stampede to fall back on. They just need one TP to really try to get a counter kill, as Saksa drops a ward and is kind of hanging out here in the trees.
They burst down Misery's creeps. They'll grab one and look to fend off DC from further advancing through this top lane. DC are going to pick up and go bottom, where they find Mike and blast him down. A coil going to be committed for that one. Mike's taken down.
Yeah, nice. And we're going to see Moon stocking up the mid lane here. He's got the hookshot and the blade mail available, so if he catches BSG with a +1, he should be able to secure kill. But he walks. Jubei actually almost blocks it, but fails to do so.
Moon still makes it in, and he doesn't find himself going toe-to-toe with BSA. He was face first with a Centaur, couldn't move at all, and eventually will go down. Meanwhile, Eagle also going to get dropped there, as Saksa will catch him hiding behind the trees. Freedom can't really follow it up with an objective, though, and we'll have to pull off, it would appear. But as you can see there, it looks like Tinker does have his boots of travel now, so expect more kill participation coming out from him, and the farm to continue to go up.
And so much behind enemy lines play going on. Misery trying to go for big flanks, Eagle running past the enemy tier 1 here. It's just so many awkward exchanges, but at the end of the day, we're seeing progression for Tinker. He's got his mobility. He can start pushing out across the map. But even more so, where the key thing is the tower is being taken down by Resolution. Dominator play between Sven and Luna. It looks like BSG gets the better of that for now. But yeah, the biggest deal is these towers falling at this stage in the game, because the more map control you have, the more opportunities you have to pick off the Tinker. He has to go further and further from a safe position to push out the waves, and that's when the hookshot really shines.
Now a collective from DC towards this mid lane here will smoke up after pushing it out and look to possibly round the corner here. Could rendezvous with Moon Meander and Resolution nearby, who does have that Eclipse at the ready. Oh, a scan will be dished out from Freedom, which was in a good spot previously, but will miss the mark this time.
Alright, so they have eyes on Rezo, but not the heroes in the flank. We'll see if Moon Meander gets a good hookshot to set the fight up.
Riha's close. Bo Soxa here. ESJ thinks he's safe, hiding behind that tree. They look to creep on forward, where Resolution is just kind of tantalizing them a bit. Obviously, they'll see now that Soxa's nearby, but no one looking to pull the trigger here. DC may ultimately decide to back out.
Yeah, but mid's a good opportunity. If they can just catch eyes on Tomato, that's much better. They don't want to fight into March and into Stampede and all this, but if they can find an opportunity where they can just get a good coil or a good Cogs out before the Stampede comes through, and just find targets when they're isolated. That's their key to their game at this point.
Yeah, DC hopping between both mid and bottom lane. Bottom lane, they're going to look to make the pounce with the Purge. And Resolution's right clicks, they will shred right through Mike. He has to dish out the Stampede to try to make it away. Only Eagle seems to be able to make it out alive. Nice big takedown. That's back-to-back takedowns on the Centaur. And that is him trying to build towards that Blink Dagger he had passed on previously. Back at mid lane, hook shot in for Jubei. Moon will be able to lock him down. He pops his blade mail. Jubei can't do really anything about it. Has to face the wall and just take it at this point. We to the high ground will avoid further trouble. DC now really kind of opening the game back up in their favor. We'll take another tower, and the net worth really beginning to slip away in their favor.
Yeah, and the nice thing about both lineups is that there is potential for mid and late game from both sides, but more so I find it from Digital Chaos. Like, the Puck is actually going to go for a hand of Midas here and make sure that he has all the experience he needs to get towards those later levels. Either the 300 GPM is great for the Puck at level 25, or the illusory orb speed and range, that's insane. So Puck actually scales really well into the late game now. And as well, like the Clockwork, the Luna, they can play this game as long as they want to.
Luna will take her own business up here to the top lane. She's had Mr. Kobold Foreman here for quite a while, enjoying that luxurious move speed as she builds her way towards the Mantis style. Here is a move from Freedom. They will need this to count. Certainly if they want to stay afloat in this game number one. Here we go, Jubei. Oh. Popped, Wee's gone. Moon could be nearby and possibly caught out. He actually runs back a bit, and that will allow them to catch the stun. They're even going to commit the Death Ward, which Moon will cancel with the hook shot there.
He actually might get out.
And it looks like he could be able to slip away. Those are some nice cogs to block him through the other side. Eventually, Soxa will be able to slip in. They get the one finish on the Jubei. Moon trying to survive, gets hit with the urn, cancels it out with his own urn. Will not survive. Ultimately, will get sniped, but it's costing Freedom a whole lot here. And we could see a possible re-engagement from DC.
That was the cheekiest thing I've ever seen from Weehan. Misery and Rezo are not done yet. They're trying to get the damage on BSJ, but they're 2 versus 4 right now.
Oh, big stun setup for Mike right there. Turns it right back on their head. He's going to get the one takedown, and they're looking for Resolution. Can they get it? They hit him with the urn. A right click should do it. There's the rocket coming in. Okay, then.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they continued that fight after having lost what they did. Yeah, they can nuke down the Sven in that situation, but they put themselves in such an awkward position, and it allows Tomato to just keep on spamming spells, and this is a very bad trade for Digital Chaos. At this point, they were very far ahead. They have such a tower advantage, such a map advantage, and taking a trade like this actually resets things a little bit for Freedom. That being said, I mean, Digital Chaos, they're in such aggressive stance. I mean, Weehaw, he's been very hot and cold this game, but that last blink where he blinked onto a rune, bottles it in front of 4 heroes, and then jaunts out, like, I don't even know what kind of a play that is, but it's cheeky if nothing else.
It will be pretty much cutting the lead or advantage that DC had put themselves in half at this point. I mean, I'm asking for Freedom to really make it count with that smoke, and doesn't get them right back even, but it gets them that much closer here. And we're starting to see Tinker really hit a new power peak at this point. Aether Lens is going to be built soon enough, then could decide to build into the Agnums, and could eventually be a bit frustrating for someone like Resolution until he gets that, BKB online. He will have the Manta for now to be able to kind of split off any sort of blind, but as the Tinker does get more evolved, it could prove to be a bit more troublesome.
At this point, Rezo going to be building up towards Manta. Once he has that, you've got 4 illusions to work with that dish out a ton of damage, and no matter how many marches are breaking down the creep wave, you're always going to get some chip damage onto the tier 3s and the racks. And on top of that, just the fact that they only have 1 tier 2 left to break before they can take down the shrines, Team Freedom have to keep making smoke movements, and they have to keep staying on the map, because otherwise they're just going to get compressed, they're going to have limited resources to work with, and it's just going to get ugly from there.
And making sure that when they do find these brief flashes of success, if they are to roll around again, that they can really capitalize on the map with it. This is going to be maybe their first tier 1 to go down at, getting closer to 20 minutes into the game to see really how the progress has been going. Now, obviously, DC have had the benefit. They have a great pushing lineup. You have Connection coming out. Moon gets a great jump on the BSJ. Pops his blade mail. BSJ will be able to break the cog, and then the Stampede will allow them to make a run. Jubei is going to go for the TP. Oh, he popped the coil for it. I thought he would let it go, but he just dishes it out a bit too late.
Yeah, it doesn't see him in the fog until it is just too late. His reaction time a little off the marker, or maybe just some lag. Weehaw has missed 2 phase shifts, and that coil coming into play makes me think that maybe his ping is just a little bit too high. A lot of people can call Puck a LAN hero because the lower the ping, the better by far for a hero with such key reaction times. But all in all, it's still a significant lead for DC. And Freedom, they weren't able to really counteract what DC are bringing. Like, normally you'd want to be able to get a really good Death Ward out when Moon Meander initiates with that, because Death Ward does not reflect blade mail damage, essentially, back to the Witch Doctor. So with that in mind, like, they actually had a key opportunity, but Weehaw on the hunt to make sure that that's not possible. And it seems like Team Freedom, in 90% of these fights, their only option is to retreat.
Here they try to build themselves up back together without Mike, and could try to make another run towards the top lane. Preemptively, DC, I mean, they already have a ward down in the lane, anticipating that Freedom could continue to throw their bodies into the top tier 1 trying to get it down, but it looks like they have some other ideas or some other things they'd like to achieve, as Freedom will take their business elsewhere.
So with the Dominator now, Misery has quite the army. I always found going from 3 creeps to 4 to be pretty difficult to micro. He's got 5 with the Dominator. He's got a Hellbear, he's got a Satyr, he's got the Ogre Frostmage, which you don't really have to micro too heavily in the fight itself. But then you also have that Dark Troll Summoner, and he had a Satyr creep a moment before. So all in all, a lot of creeps to work with, each with unique abilities. I'd love to see how fast his fingers are flying on the keyboard in these fights.
Yeah, it's like, I only can have 4 on hand, and then 1 just always in the roast pit.
Yeah.
Roast pit guy. Fortunately, it's going to be the Satyr on this shift. And yeah, Misery can put his hands to work on all the other creeps they'll have access to, each featuring its own little individuality and fun little skill. So, as they take their business down mid lane, top lane here, Saksa able to blink away from what could have been a potential catch-off. Mike, though, gets the follow-up with the stun. That allows for Eagle to get in close, and they'll take the casual pick-off there of your little Shadow Demon.
Yeah, that was essentially blind, so really well done by Mike there. Just finds exactly what he's looking for, but Stampede's popped, and they're like, oh, let's go check out the Roche pit. And right now there's absolutely no vision, so there's a chance that right now Team Freedom don't even know this is going on, let alone have the wherewithal to stop it.
They're going to get it down fast before Freedom can even make it to the tier 2. So DC could opt to rotate up there and try to take a fight to Freedom now that they have this Aegis. There goes the rocket to scout. Resolution is already en route, but it looks like as the Roche was taken down, Freedom already made the call to kind of step out from this one. Could see a lot of that now. A lot of Freedom avoiding fights for at least the next 5 minutes or so. I doubt they're going to feel comfortable taking one, especially that now DC have picked up that Aegis.
Aegis on Luna and the Scotty to come soon. This is going to be harder and harder to bring her down. And you're going to see things like the Ether Blink Aghanims up on the Tinker in about that time span as well, so he's going to have that blind to work with, but as a whole, that just comes down to essentially a Hunter-Seeker mission to kill Tomato. If they ever find the Tinker outside the base with the Clockwork or with the Puck, then they can actually just kill him and take an entire lane of Brax off of that.
Yeah, Wee's kind of hanging around that bottom lane for just a situation. It does not look like the Tinker's going to get caught. Mid lane, Moon looks at an opening to go for Mike here, who has recently picked up that Force Staff, puts it to work, getting away and out from trouble. Pop of the pipe will help mitigate that damage so he can still blink away, and he'll be fine.
Yeah. The casual hood is such a strong item. We obviously see it a lot on Timbersaw, but don't get to see it a lot on other heroes like this Centaur, where you could just always hit the hood and then go double edge, and you're going to be able to absorb all that damage. It's actually a really cost-effective item because it's not even 2k gold. Tomato up top, though, they pop the Eclipse just to try to finish this one off. If they get one more loosened, they get the kill, but Tomato quickly rearm double blinks and is able to TP away.
Looks like he'll be good. He's out from that one. Simultaneous action at that same moment, too. Moon Meander was almost in a bit of a jam, chasing out Eagle there. Luckily, conveniently avoided the stomp from Mike, and he also was able to slip out from what could have been a bit of a sticky situation. So both sides thankful on that one. As the pressure just continues, you can see it on the map. DC have just kind of begun to swallow up the majority of it, and the onus continues to be on Freedom to kind of do something to break the momentum of DC. Otherwise, they're just going to get starved out from farm.
We are going to be going for a Dagon 5 here. If he sees the BKB coming out from the Sven, I argue that he'll probably swap over to Aghanims in favor, instead of going for additional recipes. But right now he's got Midas, he's got 40 damage, and he's going to be able to build up that Dagon really quickly. So they just want a little bit extra oomph here, especially against the squishier supports like this Witch Doctor. You kill Witch Doctor at the beginning of the fight with just a couple spells and the Dagon, and you're at such a dramatic advantage because you no longer have to fear that Death Ward.
How do you feel about Freedom's high ground defense here? I mean, you got marches to kind of make sure the waves are constantly pushed back and create a hectic battlefield to fight on, if you will. Death Ward could be a bit deceptive. You know, jump-ins coming out from BSJ and Mike. Would you be confident that Freedom might be able to get a few net worth worthy holds?
I mean, it's definitely possible if DC do approach the high ground foolishly, but I feel that they've played against the Tinker enough times that they know what they're looking for. They're not going to try to breach the high ground unless they're either sieging with illusions and just poking at it, or they have a pipe, or they've got a pick-off, and that would be presumably Tomato that they kill off there. So if one of those three conditions are met, then they're fine to go, and they're going to go on bottom.
Yeah, jump for BSJ. Weehaw makes the call, moves in, gets off the coil, and he's going to be taken out. Does have a buyback if DC want to continue their advancement here.
Nice disruption from Soxa.
Yeah, Mike moves in with the stun, but resolution will be saved from Soxa there. And now DC begin their move. The Hand of God comes out from Misery, and the call has been made. Fortification will be there. No BSJ yet, going to be bought out. Commitment in from Weehaw. And now they look to Mike. They'll purge him up. He's getting hit pretty hard, but the pipe is certainly helping him out. Misery and company, they're eating a lot of damage. The March of Machines continues to go to work here. And DC will have to shake it off and walk away here. They get a lot of damage on this tier 3, but just not enough to get the finish.
Yeah, but still have the Aegis to work with, and they still are able to just walk away with that pretty happily. I mean, that's still the hardest thing, is breaking the first tier 3 against a Tinker. So being able to make that big of a step in the right direction is huge for them. A couple of factors going to that fight. First, Soxa freshly picking up a Blink Dagger, able to immediately blink in for that disruption. Otherwise, that would have been Rezo taking a lot of damage, and then probably using up the Aegis immediately. Beyond that, we did have the Aghanim Scepter Chen picking up a Ancient Granite Golem, so they all had more health to soak up the Martial Machines. They could stay a little bit longer there, and they were pretty happy with the damage they put in. But now Aegis is expiring. Rezo will be able to use all 6 item slots again, but without that second life available.
As that Scotty underway here, but still holding a chunk of change for it. It looks like DC are not going to slow play this one too much at the moment here while they have a Wolf and a DD. They quickly try to make some Luna illusions and continue their assault here on the bottom. Could creep in to go for the easy finish through some sieging of illusions to try to get that tier 3 done. ESJ and Juby already on the scene here. Will do their best to try to hold this tower as long as possible.
So they're kind of still hanging around here. Just with the illusions, they can just try to finish off the tier 3 here. Means that Freedom have to cast a lot of spells just to call off the illusions. And he's splitting them so they don't get AoE down. There are 3 AoE stuns, and he's not going to have any of them connect on both illusions. So he's actually going to get some decent damage here.
And it takes a lot of work for them to even just get the 1 illusion down between 3 or 4 of them. That is tough. That is Shadow Demon Luna. So
Yeah.
here Freedom are just trying their best. Top lane, Mike has been the one going out on his own expeditions here on his Centaur. Has the TP to make it back, of course, but he wants to finish that Aghanim Scepter. He's getting close, but still needs a couple of 100 gold.
Now they've got 4 illusions to work with here. Saksa doing some really good micro. Looks like they're going to dispel before they get to the high ground, but as a whole, yeah, this tower is pretty much guaranteed to fall in a very short time span. Beyond that, right now, they're looking really good. Digital Chaos have the full map to work with here. Misery can pretty much pull from either any of the 4 ancient camps, and that means he has his pick of the litter. I actually hope that he picks up this ancient Prowler Shaman before, just because I actually have never seen it in possession of a hero. So it's got a couple of unique abilities, a on-attack root, as well as what you can kind of call half of an ET aura. Like if you're able to stomp, you get 50% base armor reduction. So the obviously it doesn't work really well against a Warcry, but it's just a really cool ability to have.
He runs through Marching Machines with that 100% like basic magic resistance.
Oh yeah, well actually no, this guy's at 0%.
Or 0%. Yeah. So he'll
the opposite of that.
he would get spammed pretty hard, and they'd be pretty fragile, but the utility that they bring would be ridiculous if he's able to kind of get him in there for sure.
Yeah, he's preferred the Granite Golem so far, but I'm just curious how really viable that creep is.
Just a constant siege continues out here. It's like the long war of Freedom versus DC as they battle it out over the high ground.
Yeah. No rush really for Digital Chaos. Again, full map control. They've taken the shrines down, so at this point, they just wait for Roast to respawn and they go again. The tier 3 is already down, all race and chip damage in the range racks, so yeah, they're in a good spot. And he does actually, Weeha does not go through with what he had on the quick buy. He had 5 recipes of the Dagon on quick buy, and I'm like, man, are you really going to dump all that gold on this when you was then probably going to buy a BKB? Well,
can he still play himself out of this?
It's hard, but it's still possible.
Good blink.
Oh, doesn't. See, if you don't do anything but blinking the direction that you're facing at the time, then you're going to have to turn slightly. You'll be visible or vulnerable for a fraction of a second, and then you'll blink. In this case, he had to blink straight forward out of the phase shift and then try to go for an illusory or play from there, which it's tough. I mean, you're completely surrounded, and the hero is only so slippery, but end of the day, nice pickup against Wii, but the important thing I was mentioning is that he actually went for the Aghanim Scepter instead of going for more Dagons, which he has on quick buy, and I'm like, yeah, you know, it's a NA pub thing. You started with Dagon, you just keep on going with it, but it's actually really cost ineffective for anybody but Tinker to rush Dagon 5, and the Aghanim Scepter just brings so much against the spend in the Centaur here.
Ooh, hook shot. It's actually to get himself over to resolution, and then they can cut off Mike here. He'll go down. He's going to be out for a minute. No buyback for your Centaur. DC could have found themselves an opening to really get some racks down now. We'll see if they decide to follow through with it. And yeah, just to add on to the note, speaking of Centaur and the Agnum's now pickup, you know, you don't want to stampede yourself out of an Agnum's coil either.
Exactly.
You could find yourself in a seriously long stun.
And insanely long duration. I mean, by default, it's already a 6-second coil duration. Goes up to 8 with the Aghanim Scepter, and then you get a 4.5-second stun if you break that coil. So really limiting for the melee heroes on this team in particular, and it's just a really strong pickup this game as a whole. So I'm really glad that we went for it.
Does not seem like at this moment, you know, they didn't have Wii really at attendance either. They're not going to take advantage of Mike being taken down. DC will just keep the lanes pressed forward, and then I would imagine pull back and go for that Aegis.
Eagle going for the same build we saw from Swindles the other day. Does get a little bit of mobility and mana from the Force Staff, but the Pipe of Insight is going to be the key here, where he can keep his team up against all this damage coming out from the Luna 3 Eclipse, and of course from the Puck spell set. I actually went for magic resistance. With the Dagon, I was thinking he might just go for the 8% spell lamp damage on the Puck, but went for a magic resistance and is going to be able to tank through a little bit more of the barrage coming in from the Tinker.
20% is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's definitely substantial.
Oh, more of a durable Puck on this one.
Yeah, up to 40% total magic resistance. He's almost an anti-mage. You know, he's got a lot going for him. He's above Meepo tier in terms of being able to soak up the spells. And,
All right.
Yeah, he's in a pretty good spot.
DC make the call. They move in for the Roach. Freedom are actually not far away, smoked up, and could be running in. Mike makes the first jump. It's going to be for Soxa here, just a stun onto him. Weeha responds with a coil. And the Hand of God already going to be committed out. Resolution charges in, looking to go for Jubei, but look at the backliners. Hit with a big stun from Eagle, but they'll have to pop the pipe and then pop the Stampede to get out. Oh, Eagle runs right through Resolution. It will finish him off. And it is Freedom on the run as they try to make it back and out. Mata will begin to drop out the Marching Machines, but they lose Mike too. DC know that Team Freedom are bleeding out at this point and trying to just get the jump on him. The Teaker didn't feel like he was there, like at the go-ahead, and it was a bit awkward.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to worry about here. You got the hook shot that's now on a 12-second cooldown. That Dream Coil is just devastating for locking people down, like the Lesh and the Centaur. It's a tough spot to fight into. Oh, going into the base, Meander diving deep.
The Shrine has been popped though, and Jubei with his heal is going to be able to shrug off all the trouble, and Moon's going to have to walk himself out. DC just rampant to move in and try to get closure in game number 1. Creeps beginning to go to work on the racks. There goes the Eclipse though, not getting any finish. BSJ's trying to shrug off the damage, but he's getting hit pretty hard here. Weeha goes in for the finish and will get it. BSJ is going to be taken out, does have to buy back and uses it right away. Eagle forcing back the rest of DC. Weeha possibly stranded inside, looks to orb away, gets zapped down.
So they don't end up taking racks off of that, which is actually quite surprising. There was a glyph popped in the middle of it. The Luna tried to put a little bit more damage on heroes than anything, and of course Weeha full of shenanigans there. So a lot of deep diving ends up not breaking the racks, which was my expectation after that team fight in the pit. A lot of people wonder why Freedom even went for that because of how disadvantaged they are in these 5-mans, the puck being so much stronger in these kind of close quarters engagements. But it's kind of a do or die situation where if you just hand over the Aegis to Luna again, you know the foregone conclusion. You know they're just going to break the racks. So the Roche pit becomes very important, and we see their fight surrounded again.
Freedom see an opening to move in and try to get the Roche and take it for themselves so they can stay alive in this game. Digital Chaos are looking to contest even though they do not have their full force ready to go. Here comes Resolution.
Oh, nice hook.
Machines. He pops his BKB and begins to go to work, focusing down Mr. Banana, and he gets him. On the other side, Freedom will have to retreat, it looks like, the 3-man group out the back door, and DC will rightfully claim the Roche that was theirs. Mike, so walks back in. Misery's creeping forward a bit. Weeha should be back in about 5 seconds and could TP into that Shrine and be here. This Roach is so low, and it'll eventually get dropped. There's the jump in from Moon, but it is going to get picked up from Tinker. He's inside the pit and will lose the Aegis right away. Eagle's going to also be going down. It looks like they may be able to surround him and quickly finish off the Aegis here. You know, applause to Freedom for putting up a fight and end up getting the Aegis themselves, but now it only prompts DC to kind of move down this mid lane and finish. At what cost, though? I mean, they've got all 5 up ready and available here. They're moving in, a couple Ancient Black Dragons at their side. The Centaur down for 50 more seconds, and they just jump right in. Oh, an offensive 4-step against him! Oh, Eagle caught out by Moon Meander. Very nice. They shoved the Goatman forward, but Eagle might be able to get the finish on Moon. No, but the Rocket will do it. Wow. Nice little snipe there, but it is DC claiming that first set of racks. A big hit for them. Yeah, I'm about to take out the last tier 3 tower here. Puck jumping in, putting a lot of damage in, finishing off the Witch Doctor, and actually going to be able to get away from BSJ as well. So they don't end up breaking more than the mid lane, but that's still pretty much plenty for this current time scale. Again, both teams can go pretty late game, but as it stands right now, just the continuous siege, continuous pressure from Digital Chaos is unrelenting. It is, and it is suffering for Freedom now. They don't have anything else to fall back on. BKB, he's committing for these barracks hardcore. Yeah, he really wants them here. Freedom don't have much else as far as supplies go. They've already used all of their buybacks. They don't have any more money for new items here. BSG going to get shredded apart, goes out. He's out, no buyback. And Mike could be next, and that might be the game. And it is. Yeah, Digital Chaos take game number 1. Yeah, I feel like Digital Chaos actually weren't taking the game as seriously in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. In some ways, I couldn't even understand what was happening in the game because of just how clowny and how random some of their movements were. They were committing poorly, they were trading badly, and they were making